And welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of May 19th, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members, and welcome back to the old. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it. So please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I answer all the questions I think will help the most people. There is no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. Welcome, 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 welcome. I am stoked. Are you stoked? Get stoked. I just announced collabs last week. I've got a brand new book on shelves. Finish your film tips and tricks for making an animated short in Maya. I have the collabs project coming up, exciting the heck out of me. The little painter I just posted on my Facebook. If you're not following me on Facebook, what's wrong with you? Come on, get it on. I just posted a little teaser of the first 45 seconds or so of the little painter. It's all done. I'm just doing mixing and sound effects right now. That's it. How exciting is that? Oh man, let me tell you, it's very exciting. I know you guys can't wait to see it. I appreciate all the support. Still, obviously to this day, I'm just floored by all the support that I've gotten for this film. Sorry it took so long, but we are finishing up right now. Oh boy. Anything else? No. Check out collabs.arconics.com if you want a little bit more information about collabs. I'm excited about this year's project. I want to tell everybody about it, but I can't, of course, because that's kind of the nature of collabs. But rest assured, it is going to be an exciting year for the program, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody again on a super awesome, super cool project. And being juntos, being together, changing the industry. If you want to know about that, just go to the website, collabs.arconics.com. Watch the video I recorded and apply if you're interested. I'm only accepting applications up to June 6th. I know I didn't give you much time this year, but I need to move fast so we can get the program underway, so check it out. All right, that's enough for collabs. Let's talk about the rest of stuff and junk and things. This week's question, it's a good one. I always try to pick a good one. Of course, I say that I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. This is it. Check it out. Great question. Another great question. This is a goodie. I've animated. I realize that I've probably animated more insects. I've animated creatures mostly professionally. Okay, and I probably animated insects the most of any type of creature. One of my first jobs was for a bug museum, so I was animating a lot of bugs there. Another job had some insects in it. It was for a ride film for an amusement park. I animated some of the skelly guys, we called them, in Scooby-Doo. And they were, when they got blasted apart and turned into these spider things. I animated some of the multi-legged aliens on Men in Black 2 in pre-pro. On Kong, especially Kong, I was one of the animators that was on the bug pit, we called it, for the longest time. And in the bug pit, there were a lot of different species. Let me tell you that. There was at least 3 different distinct models that we were using, rigs. There was the Weta. There was something called the Ceropteryx or something like that. Whatever. And then the spider. And the Weta was 6-legged. The other one was 4-legged with 2 big claws. And then the spider was 8-legged. And I had worked a lot with people who had talked about working on multi-legged creatures for a long time. And they were talking actually about working on the Matrix 2 and 3. And on the Matrix 2 and 3, you had the Sentinels, which flew around, and they had the tentacles behind them. But then when they landed, they had I think there was 13 tentacles on the Sentinels. And I'll never forget what this guy said, because sometimes I've felt like this when I've been animating these characters, which is that the more legs they have, the more the animation starts becoming like bookkeeping and not animation. What does that mean? It means that as you're moving the character around, you're sort of just having to account for all of the legs and where they're going and where they're hitting and placing and whatever. And that's no longer fun. That really gets kind of tiresome, actually. So the best thing to do, I think, is, well, I actually did this before I even came up with animating with tempo. On King Kong, I actually did this method, which was we had just gotten the rig file, and I decided to make just like this little kind of like sloped terrain kind of thing, and I grabbed the rig, I downloaded the rig off of the server onto my machine because I knew we were going to get it kicked off on these shots, and I just did a little test with this spider, and you'd be surprised how much experimentation you can get. Look at these words I'm using again. Gosh, I'm like a broken record with these things. You'd be surprised how much experimentation and kind of like ideas you can get out without having to really animate the legs at all. So that's what I did. So let me just switch real quick to my desktop, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Hope you guys like the new camera angle. This is not going to be so bland. We're getting the track lights installed soon, and so it'll be a little bit more warm. And I still haven't decided, what paintings are going to go on the walls and stuff. So it won't be this bland and ugly from now on. But anyway, I hope you guys like how it's looking, because it's all for you. So this is actually a rig from a little like a test short film that I worked on for a friend of a friend, and this is basically what I did on Kong. I just went like this, okay. Okay, you see that? All right, so I made this like little slope thing, and I thought to myself, like, what can we decide about the character that we can kind of get out of the way without there being, or without there having to be like a huge amount of stuff animated, right? So, for instance, is this creature like a thinking creature, right? So the first version of this test, I wish I had them. Probably get in a lot of trouble if I kept them though. The first version of this character, this spider, I had him kind of come up here and sort of perch up here on this hill and sort of do this spider kind of like, like rotate the whole body, but that's kind of how you make a spider look and think just a little bit, right? And it was too thoughtful. It was too much thinking. It was too aware of a creature. And my animation director was very astute, and he pointed that out immediately, and I did kind of a new one. I then did one where instead of going up there and sort of perching and pausing, he kind of went kind of like up there and then kind of just like didn't halt, but turned quickly and came back down this slope and then up onto this one. Okay, I didn't show that to my anim director because I thought personally the problem with that one is now there's like absolutely no kind of thought or like nothing's going on. He almost looks like he's a train on train tracks. This is not working. The breakthrough came when I kind of had him move up here and then shift and kind of step sideways down this slope, still looking off, towards this diagonal over here. Okay, and then up onto this one, and then straight forward and off. What it kind of had was a little bit of added predatorial nature to it, like kind of moving like up here, but then since he stayed forward and kind of shifted to the side, it was almost like he was focused on something and was keeping it in his sights. All right, so The way I kind of animate these things, I'll give you like just a very, very brief breakdown, is to, oops. Okay. I'm not going to animate this one with tempo. I'm going to just, actually, you know what? We could do a helper. Let's just do a helper. Let's just do a helper. Why not, right? Let's freeze transforms on this. Constrain parent. Why not? Why can't you add those constraints? Oh. Really? Is this already constrained? I'm sorry, let me see. Oh. Because this only has translates. I get it. There we go. This rig is a little wacky, so this might not work. Might not work perfectly. Okay. Kind of rigged this myself. Not entirely though. Anyway, so here was the basic idea, right? So we kind of, in fact, let me turn on step preview. Kind of came up here. It's kind of looking this way for a little while, maybe like a second, and then kind of shimmied down in this way. See what's happening? Oops, what is that noise? Why is my, oh, is that my phone giving me cancer? Okay. Okay, so crawling up here and then sort of shuffling down up here and getting onto this perch. That was kind of the idea, okay? Then what I did, and everybody's different, but I found that this was probably the easiest way to kind of like keep everything, you know, looking okay, would be to hide the legs and really try to animate this body as if the legs are there and they're taking weight and they're moving around and shuffling and doing their thing. After that, you unhide the legs, and then what little you have to do with the legs, don't worry about things like penetrations. I keep on saying for people to watch the film Burning Safari, which is a student film, an unbelievably gorgeous student film out of Gobelin in France, and they took like they took cartooning to like a whole new level. I still admire it. Anyway, watch the run cycle for the little robot. I think it's got 4, maybe 6 legs. I think it's 4 though. And you'll see that the walk cycle, or even the run cycle, but even the walk cycle, there is like a penetration or like something went through something else on every frame. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Try to do your best, but really do not worry about it. It's something that you can like figure out and polish or whatever. But if you're trying to do things like move, here, let me do this real quick. Let me just set all the keys really quick, because we're animating with a helper object right now, right? Isn't that the idea? Set, and then delete this guy. What, did I not set the keys? Oops. Forgot to turn on the blend parent. My bad. That shouldn't be defaulted to 0. Don't you think? Don't you think that that's a little foolish to default that to 0? All right. Set. Oops. All right, now they all have a blend parent key. Show selected. There we go. Okay, one more time. Grab you, We can all be friends. Set. All right. Now I can delete you. Okay. Especially, just definitely don't ever worry to the point where what you're doing is getting the leg. For instance, if it's going to take a step, worrying about moving it over this one. Okay, huge waste of your time. These things have pole vectors on them, right? You see how that's crossing? Don't worry about it right now. Don't worry about it. Okay, I promise. Do not worry about it. In general, then what you can do is then start refining the distances that are being traveled on the world IKs, like the body, and then the feet. And then whenever, for instance, this one's in back, whenever he moves forward, obviously this one's going to stretch out, right? So you can tell when your feet have to move, if you copy this key and you see where those things are, right? This one doesn't actually have to move, but this front one definitely had to move, didn't it? Because it lifted up. So this one can be reaching out to place right now. Oops. This guy's pole vector. And again, don't worry about penetrations. I don't think you should worry about penetrations at all, but I'll caveat that by saying right now don't worry about penetrations. Also, don't be tempted to think that every single foot needs to be down at the same time. You can just sort of designate that this is a frame where it lifts up. Okay? These front legs are also a lot shorter, so they're going to have to take more steps than the longer legs, the two long middle legs. All these things are considerations. Okay? So after you're done with that, after you have your pass where the feet are working, then what I would do is I would start sort of defining a little bit of the hold time on the ground. So for instance, this one's on the ground the whole time, right? But on frame 15, obviously it's all the way up there. So how far past this keyframe is this one going to be down on the ground? Well, what you can do is you can turn off step preview and just watch as it stretches out when you copy this key. All right? So it looks like it can go a little bit further. It's a little bit easier with a dope sheet, honestly. Yeah, so it probably picks up naturally on frame 13. Okay? My last rule of thumb, and then that just kind of naturally flows on its own. My last rule of thumb is that you can move the feet far more than you think you have to in order for them to take the right size steps. Don't worry about that at all if you can. If you can get away with it, don't worry about that at all. It's better to sort of create a little bit of the confusion of fast moving feet underneath to give the impression of that speed than it is to, again, worry about footfalls, worry about penetrations, worry about literally how long the stride length is on an 8-legged character. I guess the bottom line is, to answer the question directly, is yes, it is a lot more straightforward, and posing is kind of only done for the body to give the character. Like I was giving as an example in the beginning, the character was way too thinking in the beginning if he was standing up there and sort of observing everything and shifting and looking around. He was too stupid when he was on rails. And so a good 2 hour or so experiment to find the level of intelligence of these creatures was to just play around with that, and eventually I settled on the sort of the sideways move thing, not totally coming up with a plan on top of that hill, but also not stupid and just walking forward. He's kind of predatorial. Okay, so that's where posing kind of comes in. But yeah, for the legs, it's a little bit better, just like in Burning Safari, to create even like the impression, just the confusion of feet moving underneath a character, than it is to worry too much about those other kind of minutia. Okay, great question. Great question. Thanks for sending it in. Remember, guys, you can send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I love doing this. This is my favorite thing in the world. You guys make me so happy and so excited to be here every day. I'm going to be doing probably a critique webcast just to get people into stream and meet people this Friday. So check that out. Be paying attention. That is, of course, unless I'm moving this Friday, closing on a house. We'll see. I'm not too impressed with the pace of the banking industry. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, enough about me. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck with your animation. And as always, rock on.